As noble citizens, we must bypass a life of dormancy and vice to pursue the generative endeavor of a hard day's work. The benefits of these pursuits are not secured by chance or charity, but through the merit of your character and the firmness of your convictions. It is you who are planting the seeds of trees whose shade you know you shall never see.
We're in. What's up? Bark, bark. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. You know who it is. It's the dogs.
Yeah,
it's the boys.
dogs.
We're back.
We are the dogs that actually do bark.
Yep.
It's not the one at the top
Jesus
that doesn't
Christ.
bark.
Jesus Christ. I was really worried about how, getting into the deep end on Epstein stuff too quickly, but we're there already, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're already jumping head first.
The conservative movement will not be broken by, the largest pedophilia cabal ever, despite what some Colombian ass might have to say. We're, what happened is that we saw Zoran's win in New York, and we were terrified, as any conservative would be. I pissed in my bed
Absolutely
that night.
terrified.
I don't know about you.
I am not. I'm never going to go to New York.
I
was thinking about visiting it, and I'm not going to go now. Well, it scares the hell out of me.
As conservatives, we also have always been kind of afraid of New York, if we're being real. But I was like up at night.
I'm scared of cities.
Yeah, overall, I just think cities are scary. There's people on the stoops, throwing. You know what I'm talking about. But the victory of Zoran got us looking into Sharia law really closely because we were like, okay, I guess New York is about to be Mamdanistan. I guess they're doing Sharia law. And we looked into it a little bit and we were like, I guess this is conservative. I guess they're doing conservatism. And
it does seem a little conservative to go back to Sharia law in some way.
And then, the grand old party was trounced in an election recently too, but then right immediately the Democrats opened up the government for them really nicely. And they're going to make weed illegal again.
And there's a lot of disagreement in the party right now that we think we have to flesh out. I think some people would agree that Sharia law is conservative and others would very strongly disagree.
We really decided that we had to get on the mic and try and mend we're trying to build bridges here today within the conservative movement. That's really what's going on, is that
building bridges.
We're trying to repair
There's so many people trying to tear us down from within, and there's others who are building bridges.
Yeah.
And we want to talk both of them.
This isn't even our first giant pedophilia cabal with the Epstein thing. Come on, guys. Let's be
not our first rodeo.
You fucking freaks weren't even around for the Bush administration, the first one. So you don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know about the kind of evil shit that this conservative organization gets into. So strap in, kiddies. Today we're gonna mend the divide and we're gonna bridge the gap because recently there was a really big blow up. In the wake of losing our golden boy. The
sunshine child.
The sunshine child. The golden son. You know his name.
You know his name.
And you know his whore wife, too. Excuse me. Sorry.
Actually, I disagree with that. I am on the side that J.D. Vance was not doing anything wrong by hugging her. And holding her and smelling her hair. I'm sure it smelled really nice.
I didn't mean to. That was like a cough. I'm sorry. Excuse me. But I mean, if we're all being, wink, wink, really, noticing here, Erica Kirk's connections to the intelligence community are eyebrow raising. I mean, I think that's conservative to say still, right? I mean, are conservatives still against the deep state? I wonder sometimes. It seems like they're just. I don't know.
I'm taking the side of actually being pro deep state now that it's Trump's deep state and it's Kash Patel. I trust that guy.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, did you see his challenge coin?
Do.
Unbreakable. That is.
I did get that coin actually.
Oh, dude, yes.
I broke it.
Oh, you did? That's
I mean, you know how conservatives love to hack things like we talked about last time, and they have this very
go fast,
high
break
level.
things.
Yeah, exactly.
And now that all Silicon Valley's on board with conservatism too, I mean, it's like, thank God we finally have Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and people like that in the fold of conservatism, because I felt like that's really what we were lacking was like freakish, neurotic gay men or like asexual men or like just like men with like weird mutilated penises, allegedly, that's the word. But I mean, we're getting sidetracked here. So we're trying to bridge divides. We keep finding more of them. So let's talk about we'll say the final question. It was the nature of, this country's relationship to Israel. And boy, oh boy, was there some big news in the conservative world. And I know that my co-host here has been following it very conservatively, very closely as a conservative. So please,
I'm very deep in our space, the conservative space.
Yep.
And so really, I guess where this started.
I'm gonna light up a cigar and drink some brandy or whatever. Is that?
Yeah, we've each got our
just
scotch.
A brown liquor.
We've got our scotch brandy here.
It's 8 a.m.
This time. It's only 8 a.m. actually on the dot, and that's why we're having some scotch right now.
Yep. So tell us what's been breaking everyone apart.
But so this is pretty heavily centered now around Nick Fuentes, who it seems is now the darling of the conservative media space, and that is because he has about 40%, it seems, at least, of the youth movement for the right-wing conservatives are watchers of his. And because the young conservative movement had been centered around Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes before, the golden sunshine child that I mentioned before, who I'm still deeply mourning his loss right now. But now it's pretty well established at this point that Nick Fuentes is the new golden sunshine child of the conservative movement.
Which, I gotta level with you, as a conservative here, I saw gay Mexican. You're gonna have to win me over, pal. And then when he started being racist, I was like, I'm in. You know what? You got it, kid. So, even if he sounds like this, I still, he is a virtuoso of racism.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the Spanish, anyone who's listening to our Florida series will know that, the Spanish are truly some of the OGs in the world of, confused, complicated, and deeply racist ways of seeing the world. So it's like the idea that he's Mexican too. It's like, I mean, yeah, man, people are racist all over the world, unfortunately, and he's still very much a white man. He's one of us. He's in the gang. So salute to a fellow conservative. We're building bridges here. I got off track there.
Yeah, and so I guess. Yeah, one of the first major points of this was that Nick Fuentes was just selected by the Heritage Foundation to be given major pieces, like in the New York Times, I believe, and pieces that basically confirm his place as a major leader, if not the major leader of the youth movement of the conservatives.
Well, and of course we all saw the Tucker interview, right? We all saw the Tucker interview.
Yeah, he did the Tucker interview, and
I watched it several times. They're both so cute. They have great rapport. They should do a podcast. I think that would really.
Oh man,
I think that's actually what the conservative movement needs, is another podcast.
I disagree. I mean, there's so many people in the space who are saying that this is not what conservatism is about, actually. And Ben Shapiro came out.
Let's have a debate.
He seems, we can have a little rational debate, because we're actually pretty libbed up on the conservative side right now. And there's a lot of us encouraging these open debates.
Yeah, we've always said we're all libs, and that's a fact. You're libs too, pal, and we're libs. We're libbing it up.
You know what? I mean, I love to encourage rational debate. I think the one thing that I will agree with you about is we're going to have a rational debate here.
We're going to have a debate. We're going to talk about Judeo and Samaria, and we're going to talk about Judeo-Christian values and how that means. I am so excited that our movement has some of the most annoying voices on hand, because I think that's actually really important for the success of any movement. So thank God.
That was Ben Shapiro's first reaction. Was he came out and he said, "We're going to have a rational debate about Judeo-Christian values." And then Mark Levin showed up and he said, "You know what? Actually, you don't debate this. This is a scourge. And he's trying to get out in front of the movement and to say this is actually a bad thing."
Zionism is not up for debate, basically.
If you're a Jew hater, you're a Christian hater. If you reject Judaism and Christianity, then you reject the American founding based on the Judeo-Christian values and belief system. If you think those things, I don't want to debate you. I don't even care about you. That's not a legitimate position. These aren't powerful people. Seriously? These aren't intelligent people. These are lowlives that have platforms. If we can't speak out against them and fight them, what good are we?
Yeah, so he says Zionism is not up for debate. He labels Nick Fuentes Little Adolf, and he condemns Tucker Carlson as a full-blown, out-of-the-closet Jew hater.
Right.
And that's me trying to do his voice because he's very annoying. Hilarious. And Nick Fuentes slapped him back, basically, in rhetorical terms. And ultimately, I think that the younger side, like us, are certainly on the side of Nick Fuentes, who can navigate the media space of today. And we just have to say that Mark Levin is completely washed. Anything that this man has to say, just utterly disregard, honestly.
Right, but also come on the podcast if you're available, Mark Levin. We'd love to talk to you.
We would love to have a rational debate with you.
On a side note, or not really a side note, I just want to peel the curtain back for 1 second too and pause the bit to just say to the listener that, like, let's be unambiguous about where we stand on anti-Semitism, that, like, it is, just as any bigotry, a serious issue that is always taken seriously within, like, a leftist discussion. The problem has always been equating Zionism and anti-Semitism. And we're now at the critical apogee of that.
Yeah, but we're not leftists, and so...
I apologize. You're right. That was disgusting of me to say.
We actually are going to take one hateful stance or another, and we're going to disagree on the substance.
We need to find a way to center our hate in this discussion now. That's the most important thing, is we need to find a way to center the bigotry.
We'll disagree on particular aspects of who you're allowed to hate and who you're not. But I think, as you know, we all engage in a little bit of hate from here or there.
I love hating. We're big haters on this podcast.
Big haters.
Big haters. But more importantly, too, this is, just to be unambiguous, like, this is the critical apogee of equating anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism rhetorically for decades and decades, despite there being an obvious and clear distinction to any rational, thoughtful person who wants to engage in a real debate. And the people who refuse to accept that aren't interested in a debate. They're interested in just endlessly voicing their opinion to, dilute the water. So get us to the conversation between Nick Fuentes and Tucker, because I did totally watch it, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I want to know more about it, actually. I know it has been a huge conversation in our community, and I know that ultimately, again, it's like Tucker's already been articulating this America first fucking isolationist nationalist position that is against Zionism and supporting Israel unconditionally. And because of Israel's, obvious unpopularity with everyone, just as any, imperial fucking undertaking has been, it's like young conservatives love that. And I see what you're saying, where it's like, yeah, that's where people are. And so, of course, he goes over to Nick Fuentes. So how did that discussion go? Walk us through it, because I saw it, but, just give me a refresher.
Yeah, so on that discussion, some of the points that ultimately the other parts of our media space started to criticize Tucker for having Nick Fuentes on and platforming him, so to speak. And so there were some who disagreed just in general that having him on was a bad thing and that he shouldn't be platformed for things he said in the past. But some things that he said on the show itself was he's always been an admirer of Stalin. And there's good picture of yeah. And Tucker Carlson, being the awesome journalist that he is, he just sort of shrugged and had this wincing moment where he didn't really know what to say, and then he's just sort of moved on, and he said anyways, so
right. You're a fan of Stalin's.
Mm-hmm. I was an admirer, but we don't need to go into that, I guess.
Well, that's okay. Let's get back to it. We'll circle back to that.
It was weird because the reason I mentioned that, it was almost like...
Well, I mean, let's just, without getting too deep into the conservative argument for Stalin, he was an absolute champion of anti-Semitism at various points too. So, like, let's credit
I mean, he ruled with an iron fist, and I think that's what Fuentes really likes.
Yeah.
And he's called for open imperialism now that he's secured power, and that's what it always was about. And we were always, as he says, just kind of giving you a little bit of taste of reason. I mean, the left-wing party, and we just sort of would slip in these arguments that were just basically the truth. And I mean, left-wing arguments, which you can't talk about, but sort of just a sense of reason at the end of the day that said things like, maybe America First is about like these 20-year-long wars in the Middle East were a giant waste of not only $7 trillion, but also lots of human life for no reason whatsoever. And we were actually lied into these wars.
Yeah.
And so we sort of gave you a little taste of that, because that turns out to be populism, but of the right-wing variety. And we cast that out there, and then we sort of reel it back in, and we say, you're a socialist. Don't ever talk about that. And
this is where I become like an old guard sort of conservative here too. I've got a real old school style of conservative, and we'll get back to that.
So,
when we get more
I mean, we all get that. We've all been doing a little bit of that to try to build a popular audience.
Think like British colonial conservatism. That's me. And it's like, look, if you don't think you can fund your fucking imperial conquest, you're just getting ready to lose your empire, bitch. All right, just remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
right? So
that's how I feel. It's like more war. Let's do it.
Yeah, Fuentes talked about
this blowing random boats up in Venezuela area.
Yeah, that was sick. We're up to 18 now. There's been at least 80 civilians killed, and I don't really know why, and there's not really an explanation, but that's awesome. Like, wield your power.
No, it's actually...
Yeah, you need to wield your power, and like Nick Fuentes said, neocolonialism is actually awesome now that I'm in power. And all that stuff that I was sort of saying about...
Did he say that?
Yeah, he did say that, actually.
Wow.
He said...
Wow.
What we're talking about is neocolonialism, okay? So, you think you're asking a good question, you're not.
This was a question of someone saying, how can we make colonialism good for the American people this time around?
Right.
First and foremost, it is strategic. Security is number one. Security is paramount. So you genius are already skipping ahead to economics, and you're saying how can regime change economically benefit America? That's secondary. There are security concerns, there are economic concerns. What do I mean by this? The first goal is to secure, and I'm using the word a little differently there, but I mean to say that America needs to control its periphery, which is the Western Hemisphere. This is our sphere of influence. And what that means is we cannot be threatened here anywhere in a security context, in a defense, in the context of war, strategic. We cannot tolerate any regime in the Western Hemisphere that wishes to challenge us or would challenge us strategically, that would threaten us militarily. And that doesn't mean like Venezuela can destroy America. It means, are they cooperating or collaborating with our real strategic adversaries? In any way, shape, or form? Could they be used as a base of operations?
So now I think what he's saying in short is imperialism. Imperialism is cool now. Now that I'm in power, I want to do imperialism. And actually now it's really important to acknowledge this thing called a sphere of influence. And even though I said that was bullshit for the last 20 fucking years after the Middle East, and I called that being America First, now that I have secured power, I'm actually just going to completely flip my strategy and say, actually, yeah, you know what? Neocolonialism is really cool because it's about your strategic interests. It's about securing your power, and power is cool. And so he says, take Cuba, for example. Cuba was in America's backyard, and that justifies why we now need to go to war with Venezuela. And he also had a conversation with Alex Jones about going to war with Venezuela. And I don't know if you remember, I followed Alex Jones for so many years in InfoWars and had been such a big fan of his when he was always ranting.
You're Alex Jones for every Halloween.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Consecutively.
Red.
I shaved myself bald in the latter years. I got as wet as I possibly could. And
super greasy. Yeah, that was good.
And,
that was really good.
And I would always rant about the deep state taking us to war with the Middle East. And
the costume,
FEMA camps.
Knock on the door and be like, the deep state is here. Like, the frogs are
serious crap. I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny.
Yeah, the idea of being thrown in a van was really, really bad. An unmarked van. That was terrifying when I wasn't in power. But now that I'm in power, I've flipped and I know about my strategic interests. And I don't find a hint of irony in saying now that we have to attack Venezuela because of narco-terrorism. That's a very serious...
No, it makes perfect sense.
It's a very serious threat. It's actually scarier than weapons of mass destruction because, again, this is in our backyard. This is our sphere of influence, and we control the entire Western Hemisphere. Does anybody challenge that? The entire Western Hemisphere is New America. Does anyone challenge that?
There's this whole east to west that people aren't even talking about, though, too, where it's like the sun sets on the American empire. You know what? Do people think about that? Where it's like there's nighttime and then it's dark and scary. And so, like, the British, for a while, they had the sun was never setting on the British. That was cool, right? That was good for them. So I don't understand. This is what I'm saying, where it's like unlimited expansion forever, everywhere around the world. So, it's never enough. Greenland was a great move. I don't know why we stopped with the Greenland thing. Greenland was sick. I was like, yes, nice.
Yeah, why would we stop at Greenland? We're going to conquer space at some point. And it's going to be the entire globe. Sure.
That's a given. Elon's on that. He's got that.
This movement can sustain conquering the entire world.
It's normal and it's cool.
And it's not going to fragment on itself as it conquers the entire world. That's not possible.
I missed some stuff you were saying there for a minute, too, because my freaking doctor was calling me.
Oh, man.
So I need, excuse me, apologies. But anyway, so the thing I wanted to ask was if you talked about the Fuentes-Tucker conversation fully, because I want to get into like the sequence of how that has moved through the conservative movement like a nuclear bomb of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, it sort of rippled through.
Which we like.
And it started with Ben Shapiro being upset about the fact that his old friend...
So they had a conversation that a lot of people saw late October. Ben Shapiro fires back. Nick Fuentes fires back and absolutely ratios him on Twitter. I feel like that's kind of where or X, the Everything app, excuse me. I feel like that's kind of where we were. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where we were pretty much. So Ben Shapiro's upset that the Heritage Foundation would start hosting a guy like Nick Fuentes when he used to be the young, cool kids philosopher, if you remember. Back when he was 17.
Like
and yeah, that's true.
You couldn't hit the racism button hard enough, all right? You couldn't.
I'm sure he does remember back as if he had some sort of relevance to this extent and wasn't just entirely astroturfed with huge donations of money behind the Heritage Foundation, as opposed to someone who actually built an audience on the Twitch space or whatever, and then became
deep in the racism trenches. I mean, really, truly, it's quite incredible the coterie of freaks he's managed to assemble.
But so he was upset
he's
that
the Gooners
his former
politician. I feel like Nick Fuentes is like the Gooners. The Gooners, like, political, like, if there's a person who represents the politics of the Gooner, I feel like it has to be Nick Fuentes. And I say that with only love. Mad love. Love to the Gooners. That's all it is, so that's...
Nothing but props. I think that is a centrist Republican
You guys are so good at fucking off.
And Mark Levin said, "We are the center of the party," referring to his own side, who is coming out now in disagreement against the Fuentes movement.
We're not on the radical right. We're right in the center. And I don't mean ideologically, I mean we're right in the center. We support the Constitution, the Declaration, the founding, and everything that was done to create this nation. How can we be right wing? Right wing of what? These people are not America first. America first isn't evil over good. America first isn't tyranny over liberty. America first isn't sounding like the Marxist, Islamist, anti-American Jew haters. That's not American at all. That's not America first, second, or third. No, they're aiding and abetting people who want to destroy the country. They want to destroy the country. You have individuals in that ilk, in that cabal, who talk up Hitler, who platform people who talk up Hitler. You have individuals who talk up Stalin, who platform people who talk up Stalin. You have individuals who defend Hamas as a political movement, not a terrorist movement.
And so Mark recognizes that in order to please some old fucks like himself, you still have to hang on to some sort of notion of the Constitution.
Right.
But I disagree, and I say throw that thing out because I'm in support of what Trump is doing actually right now, which is he's not bound by a constitution. Right. And that's why we can hold the entire Western Hemisphere. And if you're not on board with this, then you're actually holding back the movement.
Right.
And I think that's part of what's happening with the movement right now as the younger generation starts to take over these guys like Mark Levin. And we've even seen some crossover from people who have absolutely no appeal to us, anyone on this side of the movement, to be honest.
Nope.
Bill Maher and Bill O'Reilly talking about old fucks. Those guys were
I guess
trying to
O'Reilly's
remain relevant
cool.
on that old, what is it, Bill Maher's Real Time or something.
Right.
So he has Bill O'Reilly on, and they talk about how the conservative movement is nothing like Nick Fuentes. And Bill Maher, even though he's a Democrat nominally, he also seems to be trying to appeal to a lot of us in the conservative space. And so
because we are conservative.
Yeah, we are conservative. Right. And so now he seems to be like doing some sort of crossover, claiming that he's always been a centrist and centrism.
Establishment lined up against this. I'm not sure you could say that about the Democratic establishment. I mean, Ted Cruz, who we've had on this show, and I certainly have had my differences, but I'm glad to talk to everybody on this show. He was very good on this. He said, the danger I want to highlight tonight is anti-Semitism. In the last 6 months, I've seen it on the rise in a way I've never seen it before on the right. Here's the interesting thing I thought he said. He said about a decade ago, anti-Semitism began rising on the left and the Democratic Party did nothing. And in the decade that followed, it has consumed the Democratic Party. I'm not so sure he's not right about that. I'm not so sure the Democratic politicians are more afraid to challenge their left, who think Hamas is terrific, than the Republicans are.
No, Ted Cruz is right.
And so he's sort of trying to distance himself from Nick Fuentes while giving cover to our movement and reach across the aisle. And I think all of that is centered around the fact that he accepted the dinner from Trump.
Right.
Yeah, he was emasculated, and he basically played exactly into Trump's trap. I mean, Trump is so powerful that he completely played Bill Maher and just invites him to a dinner, and now he goes extremely soft on him and starts saying, and Bill Maher likes to feel status. So he felt great about the fact that he'd never been invited to the White House by a president before. And
Bill Maher's a suck his own kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so Donald Trump invited him.
Or he hasn't thought about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's allegedly had some ribs removed. So
Autofellatio. I don't know about the thing is he's notorious for having a huge hog, so it's like I can see him just doing it outright, you know? It's
Maybe.
Like, I'm pretty sure you can just train for that. I'm pretty sure Rogan did too. I mean, but this might not sound very conservative, but I feel like this split that can kind of be understood as like the anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic right versus the anti-Semitic because they're pro-Zionist right.
Right.
And those people are essentially having to be just like woke to like argue that, oh, actually, no, you shouldn't be bigoted towards Jewish people. That's the one bigotry that should be an exception, and all other bigotry should be fine. Because during fucking BLM and all this kind of stuff, it didn't seem that you guys were too fucking concerned about the nature and harm of words and how they can lead to horrible, violent, bigoted actions. But, you know, I'm not sounding very conservative here.
Yeah, but now that Trump has consolidated the media and helped to kick off all the leftists and libs on the media space. And there's so much more people trying to kiss his ass, like Bill Maher, who claimed to be on the Democrat side. But at this point, we know that this is separated by immense wealth and privilege. And everybody, even regular old conservatives like ourselves, recognize this fact. Yeah. And so we all kind of recognize that this is sort of just some game and charade that they play by putting on a red or a blue tie. And the fact of the matter is that even though Bill Maher and these figures come out on both sides and start to say that, you know, this anti-Semitic problem is really a new phenomenon on the right,
totally
and it's always been a problem.
Oh my God.
It's always been a problem on the left. And whenever you can pivot and throw the left under, that's something I think that everybody in this privileged media space can agree to on both sides of the aisle. And I really appreciate that Bill Maher will reach across the aisle and say, hey, all of us rich people who get invited to Trump's Great Gatsby themed ballroom party.
So sick.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really sick when he did that.
You're starving and I'm throwing a sick party.
Yeah, he was flexing, and he did it during removing Snap, and the courts were telling him, like, oh, you can't do that. And he's like, oh, fuck you. Maybe I'll give you 50%. Maybe I won't. That was sick.
So sick. Yeah. Very conservative.
Yeah, and so I appreciate that guys like Bill Maher say that, yeah, that's completely reasonable, that's rational, and we can have a reasonable debate about that. And all of us can agree that the left are the only irrational ones, and they are anti-Semitic, and they've always been anti-Semitic because they are the ones who equate Zionism with Jewishness. And we don't do that because we know that we're on the side that knows that there are global interests that control everything, and you can't yet talk about them.
We're just talking about globalists. Yeah, it's not anything else.
Yeah, so we don't acknowledge that there is a problem yet on the right with anti-Semitism, and I think that's part of the coherent argument that we're trying to make right now.
Here's what we do as conservatives. Whenever we have a problem we see coming, we got to make sure we accuse the left of that first, so that they are on the back foot, and we can deal with whatever kind of shit we have to deal with here, and we got to make sure we continue to throw the anti-Semitism stuff at them, because there definitely is some anti-Semitism over here.
Yeah, and I appreciate that there are guys like Bill Maher and Morning Joe who happily hop between both sides, and
so balanced. Certainly not
it really is balanced.
Feckless, fair weather fucking waif of a person morally with no real certain backbone or any clear ideology or like moral values. Just a guy who picks the convenient political position at any given time boldly.
But it was weird because there seemed to be a shift actually on Morning Joe where they had this guy, Jonathan Greenblatt, I think, who's been on there many a time. But finally, Joe pushed back against him. He's the leader of the Anti-Defamation League. And,
this is what I was waiting for us to get to, I think. Oh, Jonathan Greenblatt you're talking about. No.
Yeah, Jonathan Greenblatt. Yeah. And as usual, he brought up this argument that we all recognize, saying, this is a problem that only has been a problem on the left. And even Morning Joe pushed back against him and said, it seems like you're blurring a lot of things together.
Look, it's not about politics. This morning we launched a tip line at ADL.org NYC. So if you are Jewish and you experience anti-Semitism where you work or where you worship or where you live, We want to know so we can track it.
Well, and
look, I tell you,
there has been anti-Semitism in New York that we've talked about time and time again. Yeah. This isn't something new because he got elected last night. Will you work with him? Will you sit and talk to him? Will you have him be a part of this process?
He has said publicly that he will not work with the ADL and Jonathan Greenblatt, or when an elderly person is firebombed in Boulder, Colorado, like an 80-year-old woman, like someone angry about Gaza.
We're all shocked, and we all find this abhorrent, and I'm sure that the next mayor would say the same thing, wouldn't he?
You have to ask him.
Well, I think he has said the same thing. I don't know. I think you have to. I think you look at the fact that he has gone to one holiday service after another. He has talked to the Jewish community.
That's not exactly right. He went to an anti-Zionist synagogue, which is like going to the black breakout at CPAC and saying you understand African Americans. I mean, come on.
But you're not suggesting that he supports the firebombing in Colorado.
I know. Never said
that. You're not suggesting that he supports the firebombing.
I never said that.
There is a lot.
Let me be clear.
There's a lot of blurring and blending here, Jonathan. And I love you, and you're on all the time, and I'm always a fierce defender of yours. But you seem to be like blurring a lot of things together, and then looking into that camera.
No, we're conservative, dude. We can't be laughing at this. But what happened
conservative
after the Tucker Fuentes interview at Heritage too? Because that's one of the things I really wanted to talk about. What was going on
after
there?
the Conservative Heritage Foundation?
After Heritage Foundation, after that interview, didn't they have to renounce like Nick Fuentes? And wasn't the guy at Heritage like, I don't even know who this guy was? Like, isn't that how that went basically?
There was not a full renouncing, but what happened was interesting that there was signs handed out at the Heritage Foundation and they were printed. And when I saw that, it reminded me that, in fact, there are signs that get printed, like on the No King's Day protest, when Donald Trump said that it was made by AI, and I believe him, that number of people don't really turn out in the streets.
Right.
That was really AI, and any signs that you did see were all generated by large printers. And I've had the same feeling when I saw these signs that they said Tucker is not MAGA. Right. And they're all printed. And I'd never really seen signs except on No King's Day that really made me feel like...
Which were also paid protesters, right? That was the whole country got paid by globalists.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd never had the feeling, wow, these are paid protesters, or this is AI, as much as when I saw the No Kings protests. And whenever there were close photos, I don't know if you also saw, but those signs were exactly the same. They were mass printed. They couldn't have possibly been made in people's basements. As Trump said, they weren't made by passionate people.
Well, and no one would do anything if they weren't paid to do it. I think that's the most obvious thing. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we all understand that. That's, we're neoliberals here. That's why capitalism is supreme, and there's no other way of organizing society, la-da-da-da-da. Like, I mean, that's why we can be, ultimately... Even if these are rabid, frightening anti-Semitic little Hitlerians over in the Groyper space, we will build bridges with them as conservatives. We will not let this movement, fracture apart. And it's not the first time we've, made strange bedfellows with little Hitlerians in the past, too. So it's, it's all par for the course. And if the left just, stays as disorganized as they are, then, we'll just continue to stomp them down. And also, the nice thing is the Democrats love capitulating. It's so easy. They just do what you want if you bully them enough. It's fucking great.
Yeah, it's so great. Remember?
Give me a break.
Yeah, they were laughing at Schumer behind the scenes. Trump laughed at Schumer's organizing the 8 senators to cave in the end, even though the courts were actually against Trump and were actually putting pressure on him to have to do the SNAP benefits and major concessions. And that would have actually been a victory. And the polls seem to be showing that everybody was recognizing that this was actually a Republican shutdown,
right?
Because they control all the branches of government.
Obviously,
and it's kind of hard not to.
We wanted to do this forever. I was like, guys, come on. I mean, like, we should just own this. We're doing.
Yeah,
this.
we should own it. I think because that's what we want to do. I want to shut the government down. I don't think that people are starving. Just like,
or if they are, they deserve it. Where's your food, dumbass?
Yeah, what Dave Rubin was making that argument. He was saying that either there are no starving people, or those starving people are going to become more productive, and that's going to be good for society. It's really utilitarian that you're going to produce as much wealth as possible. And that is, of course, going to be shared with as many people as possible.
Right.
And that is why this is the best way to organize society. And we have so many ways to do this right now.
Right.
Like, don't be afraid of this sort of utopian society that we're building, where grandmas have to knit shirts in their basement and sell them on Etsy for pennies a piece, because that's what we're building, and that is utopia. And if you need to, rather than get $62 from Snap each month, which is an abomination.
Yeah. You'll live in a Costco or Amazon cube and you'll love it.
You'll produce more than $62 if you're knitting hats or something in your house. And there are ways to make money on the internet that I don't really care how you have to do it. But
I feel like we've bridged the divide on the whole Israel anti-Semitism thing. I mean, Israel's probably got to go for the U.S., but anti-Semitism will make it work. I think that's where we kind of landed on that, because anyone can be thrown under the bus at any time. If you are considered the other, we will destroy you internally. That's, the conservative movement. That's what keeps the wheels turning, folks. Got to lubricate the machinery of blood. So the next thing I think we needed to address are these Epstein, because you quoted it at the top of the show. Turns out, what, because it's fake? What do you mean? They're all AI.
That didn't happen.
No. So that's the position you're taking. Okay.
I think that being able to do what I'm doing is a central part of our movement, and so you have to just catch on right now.
Okay.
I didn't. There's been no mention.
Dude,
there's been no talk about what you're talking about,
Trump is a dog. Turns out
he's a dog.
He's one of the dogs. Well, and I guess we should just let Megyn Kelly do the explaining for us too, because she was on air the other day saying, like, hey, a 5-year-old, that's one thing. 15-year-old, come on, who hasn't seen a hot? That's more or less the argument which she was saying, which, like, as a conservative, it's I've never felt.
I'm not sure I agree on that as a good conservative.
Right.
I think I take more of the Mark Levin, Glenn Beck
in there just to make sure that the conservatives that doesn't get lost in the sauce. That is the position Megyn Kelly took on air regarding this thing that didn't happen. So
that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10, I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. You can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. It's just whatever. It's sick. Every time we start talking about Epstein, it makes your skin crawl. Right? The whole thing is just disgusting.
Totally.
Well, again, that's how we bridge divides. That's how we do it. It's you got to be diplomatic. You got to be brave. You got to take controversial positions that are disgusting and morally reprehensible. Sometimes that's conservatism.
Sometimes
that's how we do
you give them a little taste of that, rather than a little taste of any sort of left-wing or truth-based bias. You can't give them that.
Most of the times.
That's debatable. And we're going to debate exactly how much of the time you're supposed to do that. Yeah, that is the substance of the debate that we are talking about, that we are going to disagree on. You say that it's some of the time. I say it's most of the time.
Right.
And I think Nick Fuentes says all of the time. Very as close as possible to all of the time without being
Can you play the
speaking,
clip of him just giggling about the idea of Hassan going to jail too, going to prison? Because it's like you said at the top of the show too. It's like, thank God someone finally gets it, that it's like, we have the state, we have a monopoly on violence. Let's do violence to our political enemies. God, like, what is everyone being such a coward about?
Yeah, let's make it so that they can't ever organize a run again.
That's what we want, right?
That's what we want. We're all the way there, you guys.
Total domination.
And we can't just let the culture slip out from under our fingers just because we're right there and we're not ready to seize power.
Just because the globalists aren't, letting us
don't let the
culture.
Globalists encourage us to, we need to have our culture is what we're talking about.
And that's the other thing too. It really does need to be illegal to like criticize conservatives or not think they're cool. I think we need to really make sure that that gets codified into law, that like, if you think a conservative is doing something embarrassing or stupid and you laugh at them, you should go to jail immediately. I think that's like, we really do need to.
Well, that goes without saying, because there's no possible way for us to actually appear popular if there is other content that you're allowed to change the channel to. We need to be like a fixed window in a storefront where all you see are screens pointed at you, which is content that we choose, and you can't choose any other content.
You're so right. The people who are laughing
that is for sale, and that's a major part of our worldview, because now that the government is shut down, Caroline Leavitt did admit that we are no longer going to have jobs reports or any type of economic indicator that you used to rely on. But what we do have is we're getting job reports brought to you by Dash.
Right.
The Democrat shutdown made it extraordinarily difficult for economists, investors, and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system, with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period.
And also there is, from Trump, he's been sharing this report about Walmart, which he's been saying that this year, as you've experienced yourself, obviously, the prices are so much lower.
Right. Well, I put all my money into Trump coin, too, which has seen huge returns.
And Walmart said that their Thanksgiving special now is actually 25% less.
Right.
And that's your economic indicator of prices now. Never mind that it includes 16 items instead of 27. Right. Never mind that most of them are generic great value products instead of the original store brand. Forget about that. The prices are so much lower according to Walmart. And
the people setting the prices, right?
Yeah. And so now the prices are brought to you by Dash and Walmart. And I think we're gonna make that for sale. I think we have a way to generate even more money for the economy, which is obviously going to go to you.
Yep.
And
naturally,
that is really, it's utilitarian if you think about it.
Give it to the C-suite first. They'll figure out who it goes to and all the taxes and all that stuff.
Exactly. We're producing as much cash as possible. Okay. And that is just so good for society.
I'm glad you brought up the government shutdown thing too, because they're making weed illegal again. They're closing the Farm Bill law. Thank God. I mean, that was fucking not cool, having so many people smoking weed. Disgusting.
Yeah. Getting rid of hemp, because that's a terrible product. Just having hemp be legal.
But more to the point, it seems like the Republicans didn't capitulate anything on Obamacare. And I mean, respect for negotiating hard and really giving it to those but more to the point,
we won in the tariffs negotiation.
Easy peasy. But more to the point too, what I'm saying is, like, I kind of feel like it's a Pyrrhic victory in some ways, because, like, let's be real, Obamacare, huge victory for conservatism. I feel like people don't talk about this enough, because it's kind of one of those things. It's like, if you know, you know. You don't want to, like, let all the rubes in on it. But, like, wasn't that a Heritage Foundation joint first? Am I wrong? Like, wasn't that Romney Care? Like, come on now.
Yeah, it was Romney Care, and
we beat their asses so hard after they won in an election that they used our idea. Like, come on. And now we're going to let that go away? Like,
I mean, if you think about the way we rule right now, it's a requirement. You have to have insurance. And it's just not a specific insurance company. That's all. But you have to have insurance. We're going to require you to. It's a mandate.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Epstein stuff that's coming out is eyebrow raising to some extent, but I think if there's one thing in general the conservative movement really struggles with is that we just can't stop winning, and we can't stop winning hard enough. It's like we just keep winning, and then, we win on top of our wins, and it starts to cancel out the past wins. And It's like, okay, what are we doing here? Come on, it's like
and there's been a
totally
lot of
running the table and just playing with ourselves. So it's like, let's get to the point, folks. Let's find a solution.
There's been, I would say, a teeny amount of conversation, a very, very small, almost negligible amount of conversation within our movement about weakness after the last election.
Right.
And we deny that.
Right.
And we think, actually, we won every single election.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't a complete blue wave. It was a red wave.
Yeah.
And actually, every single election, if you look at it, was unanimously won by the same party. And that was our party. We won.
Right. Well, this last election was really, kind of gay. I can say that as a conservative, but I do still feel really good knowing that, like, those ICE agents are out there. They have guns. They have masks on their faces. They're pointing them at you out of their cars. Like, that's cool. Like, that's the kind of society I've always wanted to live in,
cool.
where, like, we have state-funded thugs going around with guns, just being like, hey, like, see, because this is
small government.
This is like a conservative worldview thing. It's like you
have to enforce debts. You have to have guns for that, but it's small government.
Yeah, when someone's pointing a gun at you to the libs, they're like, "Oh no, God, you're trying to kill me!" And it's like,
and it's like, I want to be able to report that to some sort of police institution. No, that's small. We cut that. Doge, get rid of that.
Well, more importantly, that person pointing that gun at you who works for the government, they're saying, hey, I'm looking out for you. I got your back. Like, if someone's coming up behind you, I already got them in the dome. Like, that's a conservative sort of like greeting that is like, I think there's just sometimes it's like a cultural thing where it's like, when I see my homies, we're pointing the blicky on each other.
Yeah, that makes me feel safer.
Yeah, I feel much.
That makes me feel safer.
We can't even really
personally.
Start a conversation until we have our guns trained on each other and we know we're on the same level from like a negotiation perspective, and then we can
exactly
talk. Like, that's kind of how the conservative mindset works.
Yeah, and that's what Nick Fuentes was saying in this other clip that we have of him. That he was talking about neocolonialism again.
Right.
And basically he's denying that you can have good faith negotiations. And he says, what we're going to do is put the gun in Maduro's face and say, we want your oil and we're going to take it. Yeah. And if you even think about negotiating with China, we're going to kill you and your entire family and maybe everybody on that island.
This is how you negotiate from a position
That's how you negotiate.
Yep.
You can't act like they have some sort of like soft alternative power? Or like you have soft power and like it's rational then to go and try to trade with the next biggest country in the world that's quickly ascending faster than us because they've embraced soft power.
Mean like erectile dysfunction soft? Out of here. No way. I'm not. Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, in the clip that I have of Nick Fuentes, he even acknowledges that soft power worked in Argentina and Bolivia, but then he goes on to argue that that is why you have to use hard power in Venezuela right now.
Right.
You have to.
Of course.
Because soft power works on Argentina and Bolivia.
But it's obvious. Venezuela, we want to overthrow the regime. In Bolivia, a pro-Western leader was just elected. Probably soft power there also. And so this is the kind of game that we need to play. It's another great game. And so the first priority is strategic. The second priority is economic. And maybe we create some kind of economic union. Maybe we create some kind of economic union with South and Central America. We bring them into our system in a more formal way. And we make it so that we can provide for their trade needs. Maybe they can be the manufacturing. The things that China's manufacturing that we cannot, that we don't want to manufacture, maybe they can manufacture it.
And Elon Musk said, we'll coup whoever we want in regards to Bolivia. And that was based back when he said that. But I just am going off on different tangents because I'm a conservative. And that's the way my mind just happens to work, I suppose. Yeah, so Fuentes acknowledged that soft power works sometimes, and that's why you have to use hard power other times, because you can't give them the thought that there is an ability to negotiate in some kind of way where they have an alternative other than to surrender to you and give everything over to you. And we've already negotiated, right. I say negotiated, the plans to have this Nobel Prize winning lady who's promised to give the oil to America for cheap, and that is America first. Right. And Fuentes also talked about needing to build an economic sphere of influence, much like a sort of mafia in the Western Hemisphere, where all these countries are forced to buy in, and that's awesome. That is neocolonialism. Neocolonialism is good now. We've embraced it because we have full power.
We can apply that same logic to Israel too if we want to, but then, the whole like globalism thing, right? Like we got to talk about that. But these are conversations we want to have. We want to have these debates. We always have the conversations. Let's keep it conservative. We're doing this. This movement is not going to break.
Not like the left who's always banning people. Yep. We don't need to ban people in this movement.
Banning them off of their social media platforms, manipulating statistics, lying all the time, being anti-Semitic. They have cabals. What else should we throw at them while we're doing this? I can't. Remember, we have to accuse first.
Accuse first, always.
Right. So I think we should wrap it up. I think we've really.
I did want to bring up one figure because I make a lot of predictions on this show, and I think that there's a name that you are going to hear so many times from now on.
Sponsored by our proprietary betting platform.
Yeah, this guy is ascending so much faster than Nick Fuentes. If you watch his growth, it's a lot like watching China. I mean, forget I said that. Just I'll edit that part out. But it's a.
How dare you?
Yeah, China's not growing faster, but this guy who you are going to hear his name a second time, I promise, Brylan Hollyhand.
Oh my God, we almost forgot about the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. He is ascending. He declared from 30,000 feet in the air that I am the new Charlie Kirk. I am the heir apparent of the conservative movement. And I agree because I mean, if you're already in a private jet 30,000 feet in the air, you've already got the life, bro. And that's conservatism in a nutshell.
What's up, America? Brylan Hollyhand here, about 30,000 feet up. We are on the way to Arkansas. So everybody in line at the University of Arkansas to kick off my 10-stop campus tour. We are coming to you right here, right now.
I see a lot of really confused, I think he's going to have a lot of challenges understanding his own sexuality in the future, and being a closeted, frustrated man is really powerful fuel for a really good conservative. So I think he's got really a lot of future, and I say that's all love too. It's man, it's
he says he's got his finger on the pulse of conservative politics, and I think he might also have his finger on the pulse of something
you're
else.
You're young, you got all the frog water, so it's okay to be at your age too. You can be below a certain threshold.
That is the new conservative movement. We're tolerant.
The globalists. Yeah, we're building bridges.
Yeah, we're tolerant.
Exactly. We're building bridges. We're bridging divides. Come in here with your weird, fruity Southern accent. We love it. We want you on the show. Please, let's debate. Let's hash it out. I bet you probably, have some disagreements with us as wizened elder conservatives comparatively, right? We've been around the block. We know the conservative movement. I'm British colonial style conservative. Like I said, I'm old school shit.
Yeah, that's what I love. People are talking neo-colonialism, and I think Trump is really bringing back old colonialism.
That's what I mean.
Where old school colonialism.
Yeah, y'all ever heard of Lord Mountbatten? You think we can't survive a fucking cabal? Out of here. Conservatism will never die.
Yeah,
there you go.
We're back in the stage where we're just declaring shit is ours. It's awesome.
Yeah, and the room is smoky. I'm gonna light another cigar. My head is swimming, and it feels so good. And I think it's time to close out the show. What do you think, pal? I
think you're right.
You buzzed enough? You're ready?
I got a buzz on.
We got a nice buzz going. Let's hit it. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, this is the conservative wind. We're conservatives. We're doing Sharia law, and we're bridging.
We're not on the side of Sharia law, actually.
No, well, I mean, the conservative parts. I'm
we
fine with the
rationally
conservative
disagree.
parts. We're building bridges and rationally disagreeing. We're building. It's an open debate. Right? We're building bridges. We're being rational. We're having debates. So
not like the left.
Not like the left that I'm gonna throw in prison. But anyway, I'm cool. I'm chill. We're a cool movement full of chill people. So yeah, thank you for listening again. If you made it this far, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.
We don't highlight the means, so we settle for them greens. Yeah, I'm high like the tree when I send it to my knees. I don't sway with the breeze. They can send me to my knees. Yeah.